For 13.2 part 2, we're going to be working more with volume. We're going to be using decimals and fractions this time. So with this here, we have the volume formula, right, is length times width times height. We're trying to see how many cubes fit in that 3D shape, so we need all three dimensions. So our length is 7.8. So we're going to write out our problem, 7.8. We're timesing that by the width of 3.2 and the height of 4.5. So here is our problem. We have more than one thing, so we're just going to use our order of operations. So they're all multiplied, so we're going to do the first one first. So 7.8 times 3.2. Now we don't have to line up decimals, they just happen to be. When we're done, we need to crisscross our decimals. So 2 times 8 is 16. 2 times 7 is 14 plus 1 is 15. Okay, here's our placeholder. Now we're going to times by this 3, right? We don't just multiply up, multiply up. We have to do each of them. So 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 7 is 21 plus 2 is 23. So here we have 6 and 9. That makes 4 and 3. If I'm thinking though, this is like 8 times 3. 8 times 3 is 24. My answer should be close to 24. We have 1, 2 decimal places, so 1, 2 decimal places, right? If I just bring it straight down, that would be 249. 8 times 3 is not 249. Get your decimal, right? We have to crisscross our decimal. They're not going to be lined up when we multiply. That's it, right? It's making like a crisscross sign. Multiply can crisscross. So now we have 24.96 and we need to times that by 4.5. So 24.96 and we're timesing that by 4.5. Again, right? Our decimals can be crisscrossed because we're multiplying. When we line up our decimals, when we multiply, we're making more work for ourselves. So 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 9 is 45 plus 3 is 48. 5 times 4 is 20 plus 4 is 24. 5 times 2 is 10, 11, 12. Okay, now we're getting our placeholder and we're going to times everything by the 4 now. So 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 9 is 36, 37, 38. 4 times 4 is 16 plus 3 is 19. And 4 times 2 is 8 plus 1 is 9. So we're adding these up. Here's 0, 4 and 8 makes 12. 8 and 4 is 12 plus 1 is 13. 10, so right, 9 and 1 is 10 plus 2 is 12. 9, 10, 11. So if I'm thinking this is like 25 times 4, 4 quarters is 100 pennies. So, or a whole dollar, right? 100. My answer should be close to 100. I notice I have 1, 2, 3 decimal places. 1, 2, 3. So our decimals here, 112 is pretty close to 100. So our final answer is 112 and 32 hundredths. Now we're looking at our label is yards. And I had 3 dimensions, right? We had to multiply 3 things. So our answer is cubed. We're finding a 3-dimensional shape. What can fit inside of that? So our final answer, 112.32 yards cubed. Okay, our next one is going to be a little bit different. We have fractions, and I know sometimes we see fractions and we start panicking, but it's actually kind of nice. So when we do decimals, right, I can only do this number times this number, and then I have to do a whole other problem. When I do fractions, we can make it all one big problem. So our formula, right, is length times width times height for volume. So our length is 6 2/3, but we need to make that improper. So 6 times 3 is 18 plus 2 is 20. So we have 20 over 3. And we're going to times that by the width is right here, 1 1/4. So 4 times 1 is 1. Plus 1 is 5. Denominator stays the same over 4. And we're going to times that by the height is 3 1/5. 3 times 5 is 15 plus 1 is 16. So we have 16 over 5. Now we want to simplify, right? We're going to do 20 times 5 times 16, 4 times 3 times 5, and then we have to divide. We want to simplify first. Now, we usually write crisscross and simplify. This time we can do any of them. I could do the 3 and the 16 if they have a common factor. I can do this 5 and the 20, the 5 and the 5. It doesn't matter which ones. We just need to make sure that we do a numerator and a denominator. It just has to be one from the top and one from the bottom. So let's start with this 3. So the factors of 3 are 1 and 3. So pretty much just 3. So can 20 divide by 3? Perfect. No. Can 5? Can 16? No. So 3 can't get any smaller. It doesn't have any common factors besides 1. Okay, so we have 4. So factors of 4 are 4 and 1, 2 and 2. So let's see if they can, any of these numbers up here can divide by 4. I noticed 20 can, 5 cannot, 16 can. So I can choose to simplify the 20 or the 16. I'm going to pick the 16 this time just because it's a little bit of a harder number. I know how to count by 20s, 20, 40, 60, 80. 16s are a little harder, so I'm going to pick 4 and 16. So their GCF is 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 16 divided by 4 is 4. So now it can't get any smaller. So now we're on our 5, right? Factors of 5 are 1 and 5. So 5, we're looking to divide by 5. 5 divides by 5, 20 divides by 5. I can pick either one and I'm going to get the same answer. I'm going to pick the 5 just because it's going to simplify to a 1, and that's really easy to multiply by. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. 20 divided by 5 is 1. All right, I can't do both of them. I had to pick one. Which one am I going to do? Okay, so we're going to multiply our numerators, multiply our denominators. 20 times 1 is 20. 20 times 4, 20, 40, 60, 80. And then we have this one here. 3 times 1 is 3. Times 1 is 3. Now we have this improper fraction, so we need to do 80 and divide by 3. So 3 goes into 8 2 times, which is 6. 2 left over. 3 goes into 20 6 times, which is 18. 2 left over. Now, right, we've been bringing down decimals and zeros, but it gave us fractions. We want to give our answer back as a fraction. So what's left over? 2 out of 3 pieces. So our final answer is 26 and 2/3. Our label is foot or feet. We did 3 dimensions, 3 numbers we multiplied, so we put a cubed. 26 and 2/3 foot cubed. So we're doing that. What goes inside of that there? All right, let's try another one of those fractions now that we've practiced that a little bit. So our formula, length times width times height. So we need to find the length is 12 1/4. So we're making it improper. 12 times 4 is 48, plus 1 is 49. So 49 over 4, we're timesing that by the width is 5 5/7. So here's 35 plus 5 is 40 over 7. And we're going to times that by 8 to make it a fraction, 8 over 1. So now we want to see what can we simplify. So we're looking at factors of 4. So 4 and 2. So can 49 divide by 4? Perfect. No. Can 40? Yes. Can 8? Yes. So I can choose either one, 40 or 8. I'm going to choose 40 just because it's bigger and I want to make it smaller. 8's already pretty easy. I know how to count by 8s pretty quick. So I'm just going to see if I can make 40 smaller. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. 40 divided by 4 is 10. 10's a little easier to count by. Okay, so next we have 7. So factors of 7 are just 7 and 1. So we're looking, 49. Can that divide by 7? Yes, it can. So 49 divided by 7 is 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. And now look, all of our denominators are just 1. They can't get any smaller. So we're going to just multiply our denominators, multiply our numerators. So 7 times 10 is 70. 70 times 8, 7 times 8 is 56. We have that 0, 560. Now 1 times 1 is 1, times 1 is 1. So our final answer, 560 divided by 1 is 560. Our label is inches, and we did 3 dimensions, so inches cubed. So inside of this prism, we can fit 560 little cubes inside of that. Okay, let's try one more here. So this one looks a little different. So we don't know W this time, but we do know the entire volume. We know 360 cubes fit inside. We need to figure out what is this dimension. So our formula, right, is length times width times height, and we know that equals the volume. So we need to substitute in what we know. So we know the length is 16. So we're going to write our problem out. 16. And we're going to times that. Oh, we don't know W, so we're just going to keep it a W. The height, oh, we know the height is 9, so we're timesing that by 9. And that's going to equal the volume of 360. So we're trying to find W all by itself. We just did this, right? We want W by itself, so we do the opposite to both sides. So, right, we're timesing by 16, timesing by 9. So W is connected to 9 by multiplying. So we're going to do the opposite is divide by 9 on both sides. So that cancels out. So we need to do 360, and we're dividing that by 9. So 9 can't go into 3, but it goes into 36 4 times. So 9, now some of us want to just be like, oh, can't go in there, we're done. 9 times 4 is not 360. That doesn't make sense. 9 goes into 0 0 times, right? I need something above every number. So our answer is 40. So this equals 40. And on this side, we still have 16 W's, right? We're trying to get W by itself. It's hooked to 16 by multiply, so the opposite is divide. Do the opposite to both sides. We're dividing by 16 on both sides. So 40 divided by 16. So 16 can't go into 4, but it goes into 40, 16, 32. There's 8 left over, so only 2 times. So 32. So we have 8 left over. We're going to bring down that decimal and the 0. So 16. So I knew 32 went in there 2 times. So if I get 2 more, right? I had 8 left over. If I do another one, I have 8 left over. 8 and 8 makes 16. That's another set, right? So I had 2 to get to 40, 2 more to get to 80, but they each had 8 left over. 8 and 8 makes 16. So I'm thinking 5 times. I just need to check my work here. 16 times 5, there's 30. 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. Goes in there 5 times. Perfect. Nothing is left over. Now, the answer is not 25. 16 times 25 is not 40. We have a decimal. We've got to get that decimal. 16 times 2.5 is 40. That makes sense. So our final answer, we're left with W equals 16. 40 divided by 16 is 2.5. Now this is not inches cubed. Our answer is inches cubed. We're just looking at a single dimension. We measured from here to here. It's straight. So 2.5 just plain inches. We were looking for the side. So it just is inches, 2.5 inches. Let's go ahead and make sure you have that done and that all of your work is shown there.